Hi, I'm CJ and this is my RC channel.
Now it's time to go into bag 9. We're on to step 30, and the first thing we're going to do is mount these two little brackets, and they basically bolt on about they bolt on here and here, and what they do is provide a stop for the battery going left to right, and it's two screws each, very small screws. It's these little M2.5 by 5 millimeter. Put that in the wrong hole. Let's just do one at a time there. Okay. Now, because these are so short and the threads are so fine, be very, very careful not to over tighten these, because the plastic is relatively soft that you're tapping into. For some reason that one doesn't want to start. Let's try it at the other end. That one goes right in. So what have we got going on here? Aha. Must have had a little bend in it when it was molded. Go. Okay, those are both in place. So now we're on to step 31. And we need to make a small turnbuckle to anchor to the servo arm and then to the steering mechanism. So it's time to break out the Savox servo. getting the screw and washer that is provided by Savox. Go ahead and put these pieces back. Keep them for future reference. I'm not sure if there's anything in here I'm going to need. We'll see in a minute. Okay. Okay, before I go ahead and assemble the linkage, I'm going to go ahead and mount up the servo bracket. Okay, that's going to mount right there on those 3 holes, 1, 2, and 3, and those are going to use M310 countersunk screws. Which would be these. This is probably the antenna stand that uses an M3x8. Which is probably this. Let me just throw a caliper on there real quick. Yep, that's 8. Again, this is our for our antenna. Now, I may not need this because, if I recall, my car radio's antenna is very short, so I may not even be using the whip antenna, but we'll see. I'll go ahead and install it anyway. We'll see whether it comes into play or not later. Okay, I'm going to put the slot facing forward, or rearward, as it were. And I need this over the edge of the table here so I can basically grab that plastic tube for the antenna with a pair of needle nose. Okay. So just for your reference, there is the antenna tube right there, and our servo mounting bracket. So let's find the right servo arm. Okay, that's 24, 23, and 25 tooth. That's the one I need, is a 25 tooth. Let me get a servo tester and the battery pack so I can make sure the servo is centered before I attach this. Okay, centered. So the way this installs is to put the servo with the servo arm pin here closest to the center line, and then the servo arm pointing right toward the center of the servo, like that. Like so. Let's go ahead and make that control horn now. Okay, we need this unusual piece right here. And then we need this little ball socket right there. Sorry, just taking a second to review this, making sure I understand everything. Okay, we have two different sized plastic sockets here, or ball ends. And here is our little turnbuckle, and it's got those little notches, so I'm going to go ahead and face the notches forward, and that will be for the larger of these ball ends. And it's hard to see which way the threads go there. There we go. See if my wrench is small enough to... Yep. It's a good thing about having a good wrench. So we're going to press this fitting here into the cup, like so. And Okay, that's gonna fit your wrench just like so. And there should be a conical aluminum washer right here. And one nylon lock nut. And this is another one of those situations where the lock nut is going to get pressed in there. So I'm going to use a different sized bolt, like this one right here. I'm going to feed that through and get the nut started. And then I will press it into the plastic. Okay, what I need now is some spacers, because I'm not getting that thing locked in there. Okay, I'm just going to use the conical washer and a couple of these plastic tabs that are spacers for the servo to basically shorten this bolt so that I can pull this nut through or get it seated. So let me take one of these off. Oh, let's take off one more. That should do it. Okay, that did that. So what I was doing there was just using those spacers to basically shorten the bolt so that it would reach the nut and screw into it before it got to the nylon locking part and it didn't want to twist. So now it is firmly seated. And now I can get back to doing this the proper way. So as long as we're at this spot here, let's go ahead and press fit this little ball fitting in. Make sure that you're facing the cup in the correct direction. You want the ball to go in the wider side here with this little flat notch, not that way. So now that arm is nice and tight in there. And let's size up this servo. that actually looks really good. I don't think I'm going to need any spacers. This servo fits perfectly, so I don't think I'm going to need to do anything there. Let's see if there's any hardware required there. Nope, just an M3x5. So what I need to do is take off this bolt or screw, for the linkage, so that I can attach this this ball fitting here with an M3x5. Which is this guy right here. Oops. Also, what I'm going to need is a 5mm no, 2mm wrench, which I can just plug in here, and then I'll need the 2mm for this ball socket. Yep. To tighten it. So let's start by just getting it started. This probably would have been easier to do off the car. In fact, I think I'm going to do exactly that. A 2.5. So a 2.5 will hold the ball socket in place, and then 2mm will tighten down on the screw, like so. Okay, that's good and tight. So now I can snap this ball socket back in place. There we go. Okay, solid. Okay, I'm going to mount the servo. I'm going to use the 4 screws that came with the Savox, these nice big flatheads, as opposed to these screws that are provided with the kit. It's the same size bolt, so it's going to thread in just fine, but the larger flathead is going to make sure that the servo's anchored a little better. So I'm going to get all 4 started and then tighten them up. is too bad. Can't use one of them because of the additional length. It doesn't make sense. That's the same length also. I guess they're expecting you to use shims. In any event, the one in the corner here won't go down all the way. It's a little long. I think that's because it's just it's stopping in the hole. May not be drilled as far because there's one that comes up from the bottom that matches that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside from now. Later on I'll take my Dremel and I'm going to cut about 4 millimeters off of this and deburr the top edge and put it back. So that'll get done later. So now I need to adjust this, and what you're looking for is the line of this arm here on the steering arm. You want the servo arm to be parallel to that. So the steering arm you don't want centered, you want it slightly inward. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust that a bit, but the final tuning on that will get done later once I've got everything hooked up. Okay, that's pretty close to parallel. I'll start with that and I'll adjust that later as needed, because I'm going to need to adjust these as well. You know, everything's got to be, you know, adjusted for toe and camber and all that. So everything's kind of off right now. So now it's motor time. And this is the motor mount that slides into this. There's a slot here in the motor, in the main motor mount. That allows you to adjust this. So let's see how this goes, and that means I need to pull out the motor. Get my light pointed in the right direction. Not sure what that's for. I think it's just moisture absorption or something. I don't know, maybe this is maybe they want you to use this to test lash. Gear lash is the amount of like play when you've got one gear against another, and you know, you don't want to have it pressing into it. You want it to be pulled away from it slightly, and there should be a little bit of back and forth, one gear to the other. That's called lash. And let's see. They really don't do you a good job of showing you. Okay, looks like this piece here, this end goes to the outside. But I'm not sure about that. We'll see. Just make sure these are the right size. Yep. So we're going to want these tabs up to make it easier to solder. So I'm guessing it's not quite perpendicular. That'll probably do. Okay, I'm going to want to move that around later, but I'm going to just bolt it in like this with the wires out there for now. I'm not sure what this little cup is for, but we are supposed to use it. I think it provides a little bit of extra space. Or like a wide washer. So that anchors our motor solidly in place. We'll worry about any lash adjustments later. Okay, now it's time for battery mounts. Two of these on each side. And let's see. I'm just gonna... Okay, now these have the ability to put straps on them. Let me see if I can spot those anywhere in one of the packages that I haven't opened yet. There we go. Okay, your battery straps are in bag number 11. Now, this kit has the ability to run regular length packs or shorty packs. These are some brand new batteries. I haven't even opened them yet. Oops, gonna have to solder up some wires. It's nice that they provide the gold-plated plugs for these, so you can wire your own stuff without having to go buy parts. Okay, now you can run shorties or long packs. If you run the long packs, you're relegated to one position, and that's right here at the most extreme points. If you run shorties, you can run the shorties forward or backward along these different sets. So like this could be your rear spot for the shorty, like there, and then or here, depending on the size of the shorty pack. So you could move your center of gravity a little bit. If you're using the large size packs like these, you have but one choice, and that is to run them like that, which is fine. I don't mind. I'm not terribly worried about manipulating the weight on this, because there's a minimum weight for this class anyway, so chances are I'm going to have to add weight to it. So the weight that I need to add to make this hit minimum, I can position forward or backward on the chassis to make adjustments like that. So to add these battery stops, we're going to need M3x10s, 4 of them for each side. So I'm going to put these batteries over here for now. And let's start with the piece that is furthest away, and you want it so the tab is sticking outwards. In hindsight, it might have been nice to use shorty packs on this, but I'm at where I'm at, so just go with this. Moving weight forward and back is an easy way to adjust for over and understeer situations without making mechanical changes to the suspension. But everything usually has more than one effect, so it might be better to make a mechanical change and correct for bad geometry than to move weight trying to solve for that, because that might compound another problem in another area of handling. Okay, you've seen me put on 1.5 of these. I'm going to go ahead, and you don't need to watch me put in 4 more screws, so I'm going to pause. Okay, I've come across an interesting problem here, and that is with these full-size batteries, the battery straps simply don't fit. And there's nothing in the instructions about any way to loop them. I mean, for this thing to come through here and be able to loop back on itself and even touch the Velcro, it doesn't even cover the battery. So what I have decided to do is I'm going to send these back. I'm gonna now that I've got this here, I'm gonna size up the spacing. So you would, if you're running a shorty pack, it's either going to be to here or to here. So I'm going to measure that out, and I'm going to decide which packs I'm going to get that will allow me to move forward and back and get some adjustment, but it'll also allow me to use these straps. The only other option is to try to find larger battery straps that are going to work. So that sounds even more problematic at the moment. So I think I'll just go ahead and return these. It's going to take about a week and a half to do a turnaround on that, so I probably won't be able to run this coming weekend, but it doesn't look like I'm going to have the car ready anyway, because I've still got building to do and I've got a body to paint, not to mention doing basic chassis setup. There's no point in going to a race with a half-built car and just being frustrated the whole time running it around the track. Plus I won't have batteries because these will be in the mail. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to continue the build. I've got body posts to put on. Once I have the body posts, I can put a pair of wheels on and mock up mark the body up, where the holes are going to go, and I can cut those holes, and then I can start painting the body. Because that's something you always want to do before you start painting the body. You want to make sure that you have hung the body over the body post and at least marked the locations, preferably reamed out the holes and done a test fit, so you know where things are going to go. Because once you've painted the body, you can't see through it from above to figure out where the center points are on the body posts, and that makes it very, very difficult to try to ream the holes through the body and have the body line up properly. You're much more likely to have a crooked body, or a body that is bowed up, or having to enlarge holes and have the body jiggle and shift. So always make that part of your process, and I'll talk about that again down the road when I get to that very point. So I'm just going to continue the build now. I'm going to just leave these where they are and move forward.
I hope you enjoyed this video. Please click like and please subscribe to my channel.